Hello and welcome to Your Broken Galaxy. I am Broken, and today we are going to go over the second part of What If No One Cared About the Droid Attack on the Wookiees. Let's go. So the Wookiees have teamed up with the Mandalorians, and they're like, hey, Mandalorians, we prefer your warrior history race as opposed to this ridiculous pacifist thing you've had going on under Satine, and we kind of think it'd be cool if you and us kind of teamed up and charged into the heart of the Republic and took them the heck down. And the more Mandalorians are like, sweet, we will go to war again. So all the Mandalorians go, they get on their old armor, they find whatever disused pieces of armor they can. They end up making new pieces of armor and give it to the Wookiees, and they all gear up for battle for a couple of months. Meanwhile, Palps has declared himself the Emperor, and one of his advisors is like, Emperor, what about the Wookiees? And Palps says, what about the Wookiees? Yoda and Mace are plotting to kill me. That's what we need to worry about. So Yoda prepares his team of Jedi, and there are only like 30 of them, and instead of splitting up and going into exile and doing literally nothing for the next 20 years, they decide that they're going to do something about this Emperor here. They tell Shaak Ti and 9 of the others that they need to go to Tython and rebuild the Jedi Order. The rest of them split into 2 groups. By the way, this time Padme has given birth and retired to beautiful Naboo with her 2 lovely children, living in luxurious wealth and no longer concerning themselves with the politics of the galaxy. Good for them. So, the 2 Jedi teams of 10 each, one run by Yoda and one by Mace Windu, end up going to Coruscant. Palps can feel them coming, but doesn't know where they are exactly or how they will strike. He ends up going to speak to the Senate. He's talking about how the Jedi are evil, and one of the senators is like, what about the Mando Wookiees? And Mas Amedda says, what about the Mando Wookiees? Suddenly, 10 Jedi, led by Master Yoda, come through on the lower levels of the Senate room. One of them uses a saber to cut down that little stand thing that Palpatine is on, and he, of course, definitely jumps to safety, but Mas Amedda and Sly Moore, they're killed in the fall. Horrible, tragic. It's just heartbreaking. The Royal Guard and the Coruscant Guard enter and start engaging the Jedi as Palpatine tries to escape, but then, from the exhaust vents in the ceiling, Mace and his 10 Jedi fall into the chamber and surround Palpatine. The senators try to evacuate, but the Senate Guard are firing at the Jedi with total disregard for the senators' lives, and dozens of them are killed in the crossfire. Suddenly, a massive ship comes bursting through the ceiling, getting lodged in it. The entire Senate building shakes and rattles with the impact. Everyone looks up to see a hangar door open on the side of the ship, and it is filled with Wookiees and Mandalorians. They all come leaping from the ship to join the fray. But unfortunately, the hundreds of Wookiee-lorians who had never used jetpacks before started horribly burning their backsides. They screamed in their agonized Wookiee language as they flew into the fight. A few of the immature Padawans that were present laughed at the Wookiees, who were fighting with their bare butts hanging out all over the place, and the Emperor just couldn't stand the smell of the burnt Wookiee hair. After 20 minutes of fighting, only 5 people were left standing: Yoda, Mace Windu, Palpatine, Chewbacca, and Bill. It's time to end this once and for all, the Emperor says, both red blades burning in his hands. End it shall, Yoda responds. You have never cared about the Wookiees, Chewie says in his Wookiee language. Dang straight, Mace responds disrespectfully. Hey, I see you guys are in the middle of something, Bill says. I went to get a coffee for the senator from Alsacan, and when I got back, everyone was rather gone or dead. Do you mind if I just leave? Wait, Bill, Palpatine says. Yes, Your Highness, Bill responds. What kind of coffee is that? Oh, it's a half-cap vanilla latte with whipped cream, lightly dusted with cinnamon and drizzled with Alsacan caramel. Oh, yeah, get that crap out of here, Palpatine says. Actually, that sounds good to me, Mace responds. Leave the cup on that little table next to you. So Bill bolts it out of there after setting down the coffee. The 4 engage in furious combat with one another, Chewbacca wielding a specially made Beskar Rickblade with his Mandalorian armor is able to stand up to most of the blows of the Force users. After a moment, Palpatine stabs Yoda, but Yoda grabs and holds on with all of his might, and Mace severs Palpatine's leg, and Chewie grabs him by his head and breaks his neck. Yoda and Palp fall dead, with just Mace Windu and Chewbacca remaining. Do you mind? Mace says as he points at the coffee. No, Chewie responds in his Wookiee voice. As long as you allow me the decency of covering myself. Mace nods and sits down to have a drink. Chewie walks over to Yoda's limp, lifeless body and picks it up. He takes off Yoda's jacket and drops the creature and ties the jacket around himself to cover his bare behind. You think you could be a little more respectful, you overgrown Ewok? Mace says. You think you could give a darn about the Wookiees? Chewbacca yells back. He rushes at Mace, who jumps in the air, flipping upside down and spilling his coffee all over himself. Chewie laughs at him. I'm going to enjoy slaughtering you, Mace says. Dude, that's super dark, Chewie responds. Mace says, you know what? You're right. I need to kill you to protect the galaxy, not out of spite. Hey, Bill says as he walks through the door. Darn it, Bill, Mace snaps at him. What do you want? Well, the senator said he was going to reimburse me for the coffee. Mace angrily looks over at Chewie, who nods back to him. He then angrily looks back at Bill and retrieves a 10-credit chip from his pocket, hands it to him. Now get out of here, he screams. Chewie grabs Mace by the hand so that Mace can no longer move his saber freely and lifts him in the air by his throat. No one forgets the Wookiees, he says. Suddenly, a second massive ship comes crashing through the ceiling, dislodging the first ship, and as a hangar door opens, both see General Grievous standing there in all his cyborg glory. Chewie releases Mace as they prepare for the battle against the droid. As Grievous slowly approaches, he removes his cloak and ignites his 4 blades. They start the fight. Mace dismembers one of Grievous's arms as Chewie takes a few hits on his Beskar. Then they can hear from the doorway that's connected to the hall the familiar voice say, Hey, sir, I got change for your coffee. Just as Bill walks around the corner, Grievous stabs him, and the guy falls dead to the floor. Bill, no! Mace shouts. He turns and uses the Force to pick up Grievous's metallic body. You know, Grievous says, I've killed 100 of you Jedi, and up until today, not a single one of you has just used the Force on me. I can't use the Force. I don't know why you insist on sword fighting me. Then Grievous's metal body is crushed by Mace, killing him. Chewie looks back at Mace and says, I just saw Yoda die in front of you, but you seem to care more about Bill than him. Yeah, I forgot the name of that coffee. It was the best darn thing I ever tasted. Chewie stares him down for a good 30 seconds and says, It was a half-calf vanilla latte with whipped cream, lightly dusted with cinnamon and drizzled with Alsatian caramel. You would tell me, even after everything that I have done, that I've neglected to do for your people? Mace asked him. Chewie nodded. It's the decent thing to do. Should you win this fight and kill me, you can enjoy your drink. Mace extinguished his lightsaber and said, You are a better man than I am. I surrender. Chewie said, Great, and stabbed him with a Rick blade right in the face. Well, that is my video for today. I hope you liked it. I gotta be honest, Alsatian is just the hardest word to remember to pronounce correctly. I've had a tougher time pronouncing that word than any other word in any of these videos that I have done. It kept autocorrecting to Alaskan in my script. And anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and all that